Hi there, my name's Megan White. This is my sweet dog S'more. And today we're going to take you through a little restorative yoga. So perhaps if you practiced yoga before, you've done vinyasa, which is the more active flow, or maybe you even tried yin, where we get into really wonderful stretches and we just relax and deepen into that stretch. Restorative is definitely different from vinyasa and slightly different from yin in the fact that we're really just focusing on stretching and taking care of our body today, not necessarily really pushing the razor's edge of a stretch. This is perfect on days when you're maybe feeling a little off. You feel sick, you want to move your body, but any kind of real exercise just isn't sounding good for you. Or conversely, for really active athletes, people who are doing endurance sports or doing some heavy lifting in the gym, on your break days, restorative yoga is wonderful. It really helps to stretch those muscles in a nice, easy way and will make it so when you go back to those activities that you love, you're feeling refreshed, because as we know, those rest days are key to overall performance. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get started. Just a couple things with restorative. You're going to want to use some props. You'll see me using my bolster. I'll also be using my blocks. In addition, I have a towel on top of my yoga mat. I just like a little extra cushion. If you don't have a bolster, absolutely no problem. Grab your favorite pillow. If you don't have blocks, go ahead and grab some nice heavy books or something else about that size and density. It'll work just fine. So that being said, let's hop into a nice restorative practice. We're going to go ahead and start today just in a seated position. I'm going to do cross-legged and sitting up straight, but not to a strain. Start to feel your shoulders relax down your back. Maybe think of relaxing the jaw, relaxing around the eyes. If you've noticed that you furrow your brow now and again, maybe just think of letting that go and see where, even in this seat, you can relax a little bit more into your body. If you'd like to, feel free to close your eyes. If you're not comfortable with that, you can always just pick a place in the room to direct your gaze and start to just simply notice your breath. I know in a lot of yoga practices we talk about being mindful of the breath, but also to an extent controlling the breath when we're doing Ujjayi breath in through the nose and out through the nose. Obviously, we're controlling the breath. In restorative, that's not something you need to do. You can just witness it. And I think you'll find as you go through this practice, if you came in a little breathless, you'll probably leave with the slower paced breath, which is always nice. As you're ready, flutter those eyes open or relax that gaze. We'll just come into a really nice, easy side stretch. So I'm going to use my bolster for this. Grab that pillow if you want to use that instead, or you can always do it without a prop, depending particularly on your flexibility. So I'm going to start by putting my forearm on the bolster and reaching my hand up just to kind of get into that stretch. I won't be keeping my hand here for too long, my elevated hand. Also go ahead and pull through the hip too to really let that hip kind of ground down. And if you want to keep your hand up over your head and that's comfortable, feel free. I know a lot of people like to do even this. If that stretch feels nice, go for it. But if it doesn't feel quite right in your body, hand can come down to the side. And you're looking to, just like gravity, do its work and allow you to slowly come down more towards the ground. Very passively. I notice as I get into this stretch more, oh, I was holding my neck, my head up a little with my neck. Can I let that go? All different ways to kind of relax in. And if you want to press down on the opposing thigh a little bit to ground that part of the body down, you feel free to do that. Whatever feels good. You're going to notice that's sort of the theme with restorative. What feels good? If it feels good, move towards it. If it doesn't feel good, back away from it. As you're ready, come back up. I'm going to take my bolster and move it to the opposite side so I can get that same stretch on the opposite side. My forearm down. Start with the same motion of bringing that hand up so I feel the nice stretch through the side. And then I'll go ahead and just remind that hip that it doesn't need to do any work. It's allowed to relax back down. Same with the head. Relax back down. If it feels good to roll it side to side, you can certainly do that too. Even gazing up if that feels nice. I don't particularly like that one, but I'm sure some people do. And where can you release again? So in restorative, a lot like yin, you're holding the same pose for quite a while. And where yin, maybe we're looking, can we deepen it? Can we be in a pose that's uncomfortable and breathe into the uncomfortableness? With restorative, we're really looking, can we relax in and just witness it, see where it is? And if we get to that part where it's starting to ache or there's pain, maybe you back off. Where are you today? And as you're ready, we'll come up through center. And then we're going to take a wide-legged forward fold. Again, bolster or pillow is helpful here. Hear that knee crack? We'll go ahead and put our legs out long. I like to start by flexing my toes just because it feels good, and then I let them relax back down. Now I'm going to take the bolster here, and I can put it right up against my legs so I can lean my whole torso forward. If that doesn't feel comfortable for you, maybe you move your pillow or your bolster further out, and then just your head comes down. Or if you're not into using any sort of props outside of yourself, you can obviously just come to your forearms. So all different options here. I'm just going to go for the bolster because this is sort of more my jam. And you relax down. And perhaps as you're doing this pose, you notice that the head is coming more into the bolster. Just allow it. We'll go ahead and walk ourselves back up. We'll do the same thing with this stretch, this time putting the bolster on the extended leg. I'm going to start on my right side. And you can start to reach forward. And if you'd like, grab onto the bolster and sort of get yourself oriented as you come down. So this is very similar to that first pose we did. We're just relaxing here with the legs wide, seeing what else is there. Maybe you're opening up in a different spot than you did before. Closing my eyes is nice for this practice. Obviously, gazing out works well as well. And if you fall asleep in any of these poses, there's no shame. I don't know if I could fall asleep in this one, but wait till we get to some other ones. There's definitely times where after a certain day, you could easily fall asleep from that. We'll go ahead and put the bolster on the opposite side. Same situation here, we're leaning over. Nice and comfy. And you'll notice, like certain sides, way more flexibility, other sides, not so much. So can the hands help? Even do you want to add something else into this practice? Perhaps a block here to raise the bolster up, putting the block underneath. I mean, there's so many things you can do. But I think with yoga, things can seem complicated sometimes, you know. We watch some of these advanced yoga flows and they're beautiful and people's heads are, you know, in all different places and legs are this, that, the way, the other. The thing I love about restorative is it's just relaxing into the body. What feels good. And then going back to our roots, right? As you're ready, make your way back up. We're going to come into reclined butterfly, one of my faves. So, bolster our pillow again. Going to bring it into our lower back. And then we're going to go ahead and recline down and feet are touching in butterfly pose. If butterfly pose is not accessible for you, legs out works great as well. Another thing, if your knees being elevated is painful, knees go on blocks. This is a really great passive way to do it. So one of the first things I'm going to do is I noticed that because I was elevated and now I'm laying down, there's an additional curve in my lower back because my tailbone's a little wonky. So I'm going to lift myself. I don't know if you can see this with the blocks, but lift and then tuck my tailbone a little bit and lower back down. It allows more of your back to come onto the ground, onto the mat, which will alleviate any kind of strain that maybe you felt initially with the compression in the lower back. So just see where, if that does help you. And relaxing down even more. Hands can be to hips. I think that's clearly where I naturally go. For an additional stretch, hands can go overhead. It can be in goalposts. Whatever works. Nice thing on the bolster is you can really feel as your lungs inflate and come back down and relax. So you can just witness that breath. And I will say about this practice, I do not love, it's not love at first sight with yin or restorative yoga. I come from definitely being more interested in high endurance, cardio, pushing sports. So yoga was even a stretch for me, but I really came to enjoy vinyasa. And I had a girlfriend who was like, oh, well then you have to try yin with me. Come to a yin class. And I thought, okay, that'll be interesting. I'll go. And it was 5:30 on a Tuesday night after work. And we go in and the class isn't hot. It's at a yoga studio that has hot yoga. No hot yoga. It's room temperature. And we're just holding stretches. We do a total of maybe 10 stretches for the whole class. I laughed being like, what the heck? But I stuck with it for a couple more weeks and I came to love yin. And obviously my flexibility increased dramatically by making it part of my yoga practice. And the same thing now is true for restorative. Just being kind to the body, letting it open up more naturally, giving it rest, allows it to perform better. And it's just good for you mentally too. As you're ready, let's bring the knees together. I'm going to move this bolster out from under me. Bring it over here to the side. I'll be rolling back down. Left leg is going to be straight and right leg's going to come into the chest. I usually roll my ankles a little bit here. And see if you can really release the back. Release the lower back. As you're ready, play with bringing the right leg out a little just to release it. We won't stay here long. I'm holding my left hip down as well. And then bring it all the way across the body. and have it come to the opposite side. So here, my right leg is all the way on the other side of my body, and I can move it all the way to the ground if I'd like. If not, you can use a bolster, a block, both, whatever you'd like to kind of support that knee. I'm twisting up towards the ceiling. If it feels good, I can reach my hand out on the opposite side, and the gaze could go out to the opposite side as well. Kind of just letting the earth take you more and more and more. As you're ready, come back in, a nice hug. Right leg extends out this time, and left leg comes into the chest. We'll hold it in, maybe give the feet a couple rolls either way. And let the heaviness of the hands and the arms just allow you to bring that leg in a little bit closer. Like I said, I was not a relaxing yoga person in the beginning. In fact, when I first started going to yoga, I tried to find a yoga studio that didn't do shavasana at the end because I just thought it was such a waste of time. But you know, you're new to it. You don't understand why everybody feels the need to lay down after they exercised. Now I realize that the point of yoga is to be active in the body so we can come into final rest and hopefully have a more peaceful mind and a well-rested body instead of just rolling up our mat and skipping it. So if you're like me and you weren't even sure about shavasana, this is going to be a whole new beast for you. But I'd recommend sticking with it. I'm going to move my left leg out to the side for that nice counter stretch. Opening up the hip. And then take it over to the opposite side. I'll show you what it looks like to use the bolster on this side. Like so. Really nice. Opening up. But like I said, if Shavasana is a stretch for you, this is a whole new stretch, but it's good. Change is good. And I'd highly recommend doing this once a week. If you're tired of my stories, you know, you don't need a whole bunch of cues in this one, so you've got it. If you're listening to your body, you're doing it right. So feel free to turn the volume off on this YouTube and just, you know, watch the video so you can remember the poses, but put on your favorite music, whatever relaxes you. If you have a moment, maybe light some candles, even make some tea, and move through these stretches. Whatever helps you relax mentally is going to help you relax physically, and that looks different for all of us. So just start to explore that. And as you're ready, let that go. Both knees come into chest. Maybe a couple small rolls. And now we'll do one of our last poses. I'm going to use the bolster or again your pillow. Put it across the lower back, and the first thing we're going to do is put our our feet grounded on the mat. Bolster nice under the lower back. Let the shoulders come down. Let the hips move down towards the mat. And then with both feet planted, I'm going to move my knees towards the right. Here I feel a whole new stretch. Knees are moving together towards the ground. If you want to use a block to bring your knees up towards you, or even a block under the knee that's at the ground and then a block in between your two knees, you can do that. Really nice opening through the hips. Get heavier on the ground. You're ready. Come back through center. We'll do the same thing, opposite side. So here again, feeling a nice stretch in my back. I always say stretch, not strain, but that's particularly true in restorative. As I get deeper into this pose, I'm noticing my shoulders even relaxing more, where at first I focus on my back. So I was saying earlier, all of a sudden another part of the body, you're like, oh, I was holding on to something there. There it goes. Even better. Now for our next to last pose, we're going to move into reclined back bend. Legs come out straight. Bottom moves towards the mat. Your hands can come up overhead. If you prefer, they can come down by your sides, goalposts, all those different variations we've talked about before. It's just going to give you a nice stretch through the back. This is one of those ones that people fall asleep in. I always say as a yoga teacher, one of the biggest compliments is when somebody falls asleep at the end of class, or in the case of yin or restorative, during class. So never feel embarrassed. I've been in so many classes where somebody snores and, I snored. And when you wake up and you're like, I think I snored. Can't tell you how many times I've said to my girlfriend that I took in with after class, did I snore? But that's good. That's really, really good. It means the body and the mind are aligned, right? You really are relaxed. And as you're ready to come out of that, whatever way feels best, come up, move the bolster, and we'll just come down into final rest, into Shavasana. Feet out, arms up. Heavy on the mat. Just feeling grateful for the practice today, the time you spent taking care of your body in a new way. Or hopefully if you're a repeat person to this practice, something you've come to really love and treasure. Knees are going to come up into chest. We give ourselves a hug again, and we roll back and forth, coming all the way up into our seat. Thank you again for taking the time to practice with me today. I'm so grateful. I hope you enjoyed this restorative yoga practice. I hope you feel a little more zen, a little more calm. I'm certainly grateful for you and our time together. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.